With that, I think we'll take a couple of questions. Gentleman in the back.
Yes, sir. I'm wondering how concerned you are that if we look at social media, Twitter, hashtags trending, that Trump shutdown seems to be far surpassing Democrat shutdown or GOP shutdown. How concerned are you that the onus of this by the public seems to be on the president?
My favorite is still the Schumer shutdown. So it's got that nice little ring to it, doesn't it? So, yes, sir.
Speaking of Senator Schumer, he says he left the meeting yesterday with the president thinking he had arrived at the broad outlines of a deal and that something happened that the president changed his mind. Senator Schumer says that he relented under pressure from the far right. What's your account of that meeting? I know you weren't in the room, but what's the White House account of that meeting?
Yeah, I was in that meeting, but I did talk to the chief about it this morning, and I'll give you an example of how Mr. Schumer is mischaracterizing the discussions. One of the things that, according to the chief, that Mr. Schumer told the president was that I will give you all of the money that you want for your wall. And the president said, oh, that's great. I need $20 billion to build a whole wall. And Mr. Schumer said, oh, no, only 1.6. That's all you asked for last year in the 2018 budget, which I happened to write. Okay, we had a $1.6 billion request in the 2018 budget that we'd like to see in the 2018 appropriations bill. Okay, that is not all of the money for the wall, nor was it ever intended to be all the money for the wall. But Chuck Schumer actually had the gall to look at the president and said, I'm giving you everything you asked for the wall, and then when pressed, admitted that he wasn't doing it. That's the type of negotiation that Mr. Schumer has been engaged in with the president. You have to ask yourself at one point, does it even become profitable to continue to work with somebody like that? So Mr. Schumer is going to have to up his game a little bit and be a little bit more honest with the President of the United States if we're going to see progress on that.
Obviously, Democrats want it. You guys aren't going to talk about immigration right now. You'll talk about it after you get through this government shutdown. There's been talk among Democrats of trust issues. There's been talk from the president about trust issues. So if Democrats do agree on this short-term CR and to address immigration later, why should Democrats think they should trust this president on that?
Hallie, I would say again that we can step back for a second at where we were in asking Congress to address this when General Kelly first came in as DHS Secretary, providing to Congress what we asked for in October as far as principles, and then refining that again. And I know that there's been some questions saying that there's, I think Senator Schumer today said there's lack of clarity as to what the White House is asking for. I don't think there's lack of clarity. Here's the principles we sent up in September. 7 pages sent up to Congress to say, here are the things we're asking for in the four broad categories. Over the course of the negotiations and conversations, there was a sense that it needs to be refined. So we sent back several weeks ago was a 3-page document that pulled off some of the items that we were asking for off of the table, particularly on interior enforcement. And then there were meetings here at the White House, bipartisan in nature, with leadership, Republicans and Democrats, that many of you covered and was shown to the national audience. In that conversation at the end, there was agreement that there would be 4 principles leading the negotiations. Kevin McCarthy, Senator Durbin, Senator Cornyn, Steny Hoyer. That is the process that we have put in place, and it continues to focus on those 4 principles. What I would simply add to Director Mulvaney's comments is that I would look at it as progress, and in fact, Democrats are now willing to accept funding for border security and physical barriers. That is a step forward. As well, there's some areas where we have given some ground, which is they want a broader definition of that DACA population. To me, that is progress. All the more reason as to, if we're making progress, why are we shutting down the government?
And for both of you, you either worked for or you were a member of Congress at times when you thought it was a matter of principle, when you had political leverage to withhold votes on behalf of a principle you thought was important, ideologically. Do you have any sympathy for Democrats who believe they are doing that now under these circumstances because they believe, as a matter of principle, and it might be politics, but Mark, you know this, and Mick, you know this, back when you were doing that, you were accused of being the small base responding to activist pressure to do something that was
and I suppose
viewed by the administration.
I might have a lot more sympathy if I hadn't been accused at that time of being an arsonist. But keep in mind, this is different in that in 2013, we were being asked to vote for something that we did not like. The funding bill that was put before us in 2013 included funding for Obamacare. We objected to that, and for that reason, refused to vote for that funding bill. We have a funding bill today sitting in the Senate that senators do not oppose. They support all individual pieces of it. We've talked about CHIP. We've talked about the delay in the Cadillac tax, the medical device tax. Talked about the fact that they're generally okay with CRs. That's one of the primary differences there. We were asked to vote for something in 2013 that we did not approve of. That is not the circumstance here. Here they are simply taking advantage of the situation to insert not only a new topic, but Mark may have mentioned this earlier. They've now introduced even another topic. I think you heard Mr. Schumer talk about just earlier today. Now they want to talk about bailing out union pension funds. That's a new $60 billion topic that has been interjected to the conversation today. So clearly things are out of control on the Senate side.